Sesame Street, as everyone knows, was set in the inner city, and there was a particular reason for that. Our first target audience were children in the inner city who were underserved, and we thought that if they learned their basic cognitive skills, they could start kindergarten on an even level with their middle-class peers. And it was a very idealistic time. We thought we'd like close the education gap by doing that. But the first thing we had to do was make sure these children in the inner city could relate to us, and what better way than to have the show come to them from a place that was familiar to them. And the stoop in Harlem was the most familiar to them. And of course, populating the stoop with people of color and Latin people and Jewish people. Mr. Hooper, the candy store owner, was clearly of Yiddish descent, or a Yiddish person, so that these kids could find somebody on television that they could relate to and feel part of the community. Yes, my first job on Sesame Street was as a librarian. I had almost forgotten that, in a lending library. And we did that because we wanted to have a community feeling, that people would share books, and that the library was a place where you hung out and sang songs, you know, in between reading chapters. Unfortunately, my own experience with libraries was very little, as it is for kids who grow up in the inner city. There might have been a small library in the public school that I went to, but it had very few books, and that's why it's very important to find ways to take books and the library experience to children who don't have that experience. And I'm sorry to say I did not have that experience as a child. Actually, I just was at a wonderful library, the Wyckoff Library in Bergen County, New Jersey, who does this wonderful program with a theater organization called Selected Shorts. And it's actors who read short stories. And once a year, we go to the libraries in Bergen County, and we read stories. And, you know, famous people like Kate Burton was a reader last time. And that's an example of a library community expanding and bringing in performers to read stories and making it more like a community center. It occurs to me that children today are analyzed and assessed and tested even before they have the opportunity to experience the joy of thinking or imagining. And it's almost like the last place that they can imagine is through books that librarians bring to them. There are many books that have sad stories in them or difficult situations, and kids will read them and say, oh wow, that's sad, isn't it? But there's a good part to it. And books are places where they could jump off, where their imagination can go further. And it's more important now because we are becoming a society that just wants to give kids facts. We expect them not only to learn the fact, we want them to learn the facts at the same exact moment that their friends learn the fact. Not a year later, not a year before, not 6 months later. And it's for a country based on individualism. We really want to put kids in little boxes that learn whatever we think they should learn at the same time. The only frontier for imagination and to come up with your own ideas is when librarians bring books to children, as Mr. Gitterman, my 5th grade teacher, brought a book to me.